everything Amy Fleming built could come crashing down: her career, her reputation, even her closest relationships. After the shocking events of Episode 5, Heartland Season 19 is no longer just about horses and healing. It's about betrayal, secrets, and a desperate fight to protect everything Amy loves. But what's coming in Episode 6 might be even more explosive, because Amy is about to uncover a truth that will shake Hudson to its core. Episode 6 of Heartland Season 19 begins right where the last one left off, with Amy standing at the edge of her breaking point. Her stables feel emptier than ever. Her phone hasn't rung in days, and the whispers around Hudson have turned cruel. Everyone seems to have already decided that Amy Fleming, the miracle girl, failed. But deep down, Amy knows the truth hasn't been told yet. Someone wanted to destroy her, and she's determined to find out who. As she walks through the barn that once felt like home, the silence feels heavy. Spartan stands quietly in his stall, still recovering. Every time Amy looks at him, her heart aches. He's more than just a horse to her. He's her last connection to her late husband, Ty. And now, with Spartan's illness and the Olympians' accusations still hanging over her, Amy feels like she's losing him all over again. The weight of it all makes her question everything: her work, her choices, even herself. Meanwhile, word spreads fast across Hudson. Horse owners have started pulling their animals from Amy's training program. Even longtime clients are keeping their distance. Jack tries to comfort her, telling her that the truth always finds a way to come out, but Amy can see it in his eyes. He's worried too. Lou suggests laying low until things calm down, but Amy isn't built that way. She's never been the kind of person to wait for answers. She goes after them. Late one night, Amy sits by Spartan's stall, running her fingers through his mane. She thinks back to that strange encounter at her mother's grave, the moment when Nathan's sister appeared out of nowhere, filled with anger and jealousy. Something about that day keeps replaying in Amy's mind. The way Nathan's sister touched the horses, the odd look in her eyes, the too sweet apology that followed. Amy doesn't have proof yet, but her instincts are screaming that this woman had something to do with what happened. The next morning, Amy decides to visit the local vet to recheck the reports on the horses that got sick. She hopes there's some kind of clue, a pattern, a chemical trace, anything that could prove her innocence. But when she gets there, the vet seems nervous, avoiding eye contact. He admits that someone asked for the records and took copies before Amy even arrived. That's when it hits her. Someone is trying to erase the evidence before she can use it. Nathan, unaware of his sister's growing involvement, shows up at the ranch to talk to Amy. His timing couldn't be worse. Amy's frustration is at its peak. She tries to tell him that something is off, that maybe the sickness wasn't natural. But the moment she mentions his sister, his expression changes. He shuts down, defensive and cold. The connection they were starting to rebuild suddenly feels fragile again. Amy can't help but notice how easily Nathan protects his family, even when the truth might be staring him in the face. Back at Heartland, the tension rises. Jack overhears Amy's conversation and warns her to tread carefully. He's seen too many friendships destroyed by misplaced accusations. But Amy is past the point of hesitation. "If I don't fight for what's right, no one will," she says firmly. For Amy, this isn't just about her name anymore. It's about justice, about not letting someone take away the legacy she's built with her blood, sweat, and tears. As the episode progresses, Amy starts piecing things together. She remembers that the Olympians' horse and Spartan both got sick on the same day, after Nathan's sister had visited. There's no direct proof yet, but the timeline is too perfect to ignore. When she checks the feed bags, she notices one of them has a faint chemical smell. Her heart races. Could this be it? Could someone have tampered with the feed to frame her? She rushes to tell Jack, but before she can, a sudden call from Lou interrupts. Nathan's sister has been seen at the Hudson rodeo grounds, talking to several horse owners who used to be Amy's clients. It's clear now, she's spreading lies, twisting the story to make Amy look guilty. Amy realizes she can't stay quiet anymore. If she wants her truth out, she'll have to expose everything and everyone responsible, no matter how messy it gets. The first section ends with Amy standing outside the barn, staring at the distant Hudson rodeo banners fluttering in the wind. Her face hardens with resolve. "You took my peace," she whispers to herself. "Now I'll take back my name." The music swells as the screen fades to black, setting up a high-stakes confrontation that will test Amy's strength, her heart, and the bonds she's fought so hard to protect. The Hudson Rodeo, a place once filled with laughter, family, and pride, now feels like a battlefield for Amy Fleming. As she arrives, the tension is so thick it's almost visible. The crowd's excitement echoes through the air, but all Amy can hear is the sound of her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. She knows today could either save her reputation or destroy it completely. Lou greets her with a tight smile, trying to keep things light, but Amy can see the worry in her sister's eyes. Jack gives her a nod from a distance, a silent show of support, while Lisa whispers that people have been gossiping about her since morning. "Let them talk," Amy says under her breath. "By the end of today, they'll know the truth." Amy makes her way through the arena, scanning faces, until she spots Nathan's sister, perfectly composed, chatting with horse owners like nothing ever happened. She's laughing, smiling, pretending to be the victim of Amy's so-called mistake. The sight makes Amy's stomach twist. It's one thing to be accused, but another to be mocked by the very person who caused it all. Nathan, standing near the fence, notices Amy and approaches her cautiously. "You don't have to be here," he says quietly. "It'll only make things worse." But Amy shakes her head. "No, Nathan. This is where I take my stand." Their eyes meet, full of unspoken pain, tension, and something deeper neither of them wants to admit. For a brief second, Nathan seems torn, as if part of him wants to believe her, but he can't bring himself to doubt his own sister. Amy spends the next few hours helping with small tasks around the rodeo, waiting for the right moment to confront her rival. She notices that Nathan's sister has been hovering near the stables, always checking the feed area. When she thinks no one's looking, she slips a small vial out of her purse and pours something into a feed bucket. Amy's breath catches in her throat. This is it, the proof she's been waiting for. Heart pounding, Amy quietly pulls out her phone and records everything from behind a stack of hay bales. Her hands tremble, but she keeps steady, capturing every movement. When the woman turns to leave, Amy steps out from hiding. "Looking for something?" Her voice is calm but sharp enough to cut through the noise. Nathan's sister freezes, her face draining of color. "Amy, this isn't what it looks like." "Oh, I think it's exactly what it looks like," Amy replies, holding up her phone. "You just poisoned another horse. How many more were there before this?" The confrontation draws attention. People start turning their heads. Within moments, a crowd forms. Nathan rushes over, his expression a mix of confusion and disbelief. "What's going on?" he demands. Amy looks directly at him and plays the recording aloud. The sound of his sister's voice, nervous, muttering under her breath as she pours the liquid, echoes across the quieting rodeo grounds. For a moment, everything stops. You could hear a pin drop. Nathan's sister panics, denying everything, but the evidence is undeniable. Some horse owners gasp in horror, realizing they were manipulated. The truth is finally out. But for Amy, the victory feels bittersweet. She's proven her innocence, but in doing so, she's broken Nathan's trust completely. Nathan stares at his sister, betrayal written all over his face. "Tell me this isn't true," he whispers, his voice shaking. But she can't look him in the eye. Instead, she breaks down, confessing through tears that she wanted to teach Amy a lesson for stealing her brother's attention. The crowd murmurs in disgust. Even Lou covers her mouth, shocked. Amy doesn't say a word. She simply walks away from the chaos, her eyes glistening but proud. She's fought hard for this moment, not for revenge, but for her peace. Jack catches up with her and puts a hand on her shoulder. "You did what you had to do," he says softly. "But it came at a cost." Amy nods, her throat tight. "I just wish it didn't have to be this way." Later that evening, as the sun sets over Heartland, Nathan shows up at the ranch. His face is tired, his voice quiet. "I didn't know," he says. "If I had, Amy cuts him off gently. You didn't want to know, Nathan. That's the difference. There's a long silence between them, a silence filled with what-ifs and unspoken feelings. Nathan admits he's taking his sister away from Hudson for a while, to get her help and to keep the peace. Maybe someday you'll forgive me, he says before walking away. Amy watches him go, her heart heavy. She saved her name, but she lost something far more personal. Still, there's a quiet strength in her, the kind that comes after surviving the storm. Back inside the barn, Spartan whinnies softly, as if sensing her pain. Amy smiles faintly and strokes his muzzle. We did it, boy, she whispers. We made it through. The section closes with Amy looking up at the night sky, the stars reflecting in her eyes. She knows this isn't the end. It's just the beginning of a new battle. Episode 6 might have brought her truth to light, but the fallout from this revelation is far from over. In the next chapter, Amy will face the hardest question of all: how to rebuild her heart when the person she trusted most has walked away. The morning after the Hudson rodeo feels strangely quiet. The town that once turned its back on Amy Fleming now seems to whisper her name with a mix of regret and admiration. The truth about Nathan's sister spreads fast, and by sunrise, Amy's phone begins to buzz again. Messages of apology, clients wanting to return, reporters asking for statements. But Amy doesn't care about any of that. She's sitting in the barn beside Spartan, her mind still replaying the events of the night before. She won her battle, yes, but at what cost? The victory feels hollow. For the first time, Amy understands that justice doesn't always bring peace. As she brushes Spartan's coat, her eyes drift to the empty corner of the stable where Nathan once stood during training sessions, quietly watching her work. That space feels heavier now, filled with memories of laughter, tension, and the unspoken connection they shared. Amy sighs, her voice barely a whisper. I thought we were building something real. Jack walks in, carrying 2 cups of coffee. He sets one beside her and sits down. You did what you had to do, he says gently. You protected your name, your work, and that's something to be proud of. Amy nods but doesn't smile. I know, Grandpa, but I hurt Nathan. And even if I was right, I exposed his family in front of everyone. I don't know if he'll ever forgive me. Jack looks at her with that wise, fatherly calm. Sometimes doing the right thing costs you people you care about. But the truth always has a way of healing, just takes time. Across town, Nathan sits alone in his truck, staring out at the open fields. He hasn't spoken to anyone since leaving the rodeo. His sister's confession still echoes in his mind, tearing at his heart. He feels ashamed, not only for her actions but for doubting Amy. He remembers the look in her eyes when she tried to warn him, how much it hurt her to even mention his sister's name. He knows now that Amy wasn't just fighting for herself, she was trying to protect everyone. Meanwhile, Amy gets an unexpected visit. The Olympian, the same woman who accused her of negligence, arrives at Heartland, holding a bouquet of wildflowers. I came to apologize, she says quietly. You saved my horse, and I repaid you with anger. I'm sorry. Amy's eyes soften. You didn't know, she replies. You were scared. We all were. The 2 women share a moment of mutual respect. It's a small but powerful reminder that Amy's compassion, even after everything, still defines her. Later that day, Lou convinces Amy to return to the Hudson rodeo grounds for the awards ceremony. The organizers want to publicly clear her name and thank her for exposing the truth. Amy hesitates at first, but Lou insists. You've earned this, Amy. Don't hide from what you deserve. Reluctantly, Amy agrees. When she arrives, the crowd falls silent for a moment. The same crowd that once doubted her. But now, there's something different in their eyes. Gratitude, admiration, respect. The announcer takes the mic and calls Amy to the center. This year, we witnessed integrity, bravery, and grace under fire, he says. Heartland's very own Amy Fleming reminded us all what it means to stand for truth, even when it costs everything. The audience erupts in applause. Amy steps forward, her eyes glistening, her heart pounding. For a moment, she feels whole again. But as she scans the crowd, She spots Nathan standing near the exit, quietly watching her. Their eyes meet across the distance. He doesn't smile, but there's understanding there, and maybe a spark of hope. After the ceremony, he walks up slowly. "You did good," he says simply. Amy nods. "I had to." There's a long pause before Nathan adds, "I'm sorry I didn't believe you." Amy's voice trembles slightly as she replies, "I don't blame you, Nathan. You were trying to protect your family." He looks down, guilt shadowing his face. "She's getting help now. I just wish it hadn't gone this far." Amy sighs. "So do I." The air between them feels heavy yet calm, like the silence after a storm. Nathan starts to leave, but Amy stops him. "Nathan," she says softly, "you were there when no one else was. Don't let this break what we have left." He turns back, his expression softening for the first time. "Maybe it's not broken," he says. "Maybe it's just waiting." As Nathan walks away, Amy stands there under the wide Hudson sky, feeling a quiet peace wash over her. She knows there's still healing to do for both of them, but for the first time in a long while, she believes things will be okay. The final moments of the episode unfold in true Heartland fashion. Amy returns home to find Lindy in the barn, brushing Spartan just like her mother used to. "He's feeling better," Lindy says proudly. Amy kneels beside her daughter, smiling. "You've got the same magic touch," she whispers. Lindy grins. "Maybe I learned it from you." As the camera pans out, the setting sun paints the sky in shades of gold and rose. Amy and Lindy stand side by side, their hands resting on Spartan's mane. The barn glows with warm light, a symbol of everything Heartland has always stood for: resilience, family, and the unbreakable bond between humans and horses. The narrator's voice echoes softly over the closing shot. "Sometimes the hardest battles bring us back to who we truly are." Amy Fleming didn't just save her name. She rediscovered her strength. And in the heart of Heartland, that strength is what keeps the light shining. Fade to black.